Kelly with Soulful Creations. I'm back once again with the tutorial for you. This time it is the Isabella by Petal Sewing Patterns. I love this big bag. Can you see? It's big, right? Oh my gosh. So as a mom of 7, you know that I need a big bag. Whenever we go out, they're just piling stuff in. Oh, mom, hold my jacket. Oh, mom, hold my water bottle. Mom, this, mom, that. And I just never have a bag big enough for everything that they want me to hold. But this one, I think, will work. So let's look at this and see what we got going on with the Isabella. So on the front, we have this nice little decorative panel, perfect for your label. If you have one and you want to put that on there. So love that detail. You see these little wing details here too. Perfect for your strap connectors. On the side, we have some strap connectors for our crossbody strap. And check out those feathers. That's a part of the pattern too. You can make those cute little feathers in 2 little sizes here that clip right onto your bag. So cute. So you have your crossbody strap. You have your handles here. On the back, there's a zipper pocket, so you can slide your phone in there. I mean, it's big enough that you can even put a small little credit card wallet in there or something. But it has a recessed zipper, and inside, rooms, tons of room. You have a divided slip pocket on one side and a zipper pocket with overlay on the other side. And did I say it had lots of room? Oh yeah, lots of room, right? And look at that bottom, purse feet. So you keep it off the dirty floor, or well, don't put your bag on the floor, don't put your bag on the floor, but keep it nice and clean on the bottom. So anyway, we're gonna get ready to tackle this one. And let's have some fun making the Isabella by Petal Sewing Patterns. So we're getting ready to start the Isabella bag by Petal Sewing Patterns. And the first thing you're going to need are these 4 wing pieces. Okay, so they're cut mirrored. So we have 2 going in this direction and 2 going in this. And I have already prepped the first 3. And what I mean by prepped is I have folded in these raw edges according to the pattern. So this edge will stay raw. And so I'm going to show you how I did that with this one. So she suggests that you kind of cut like a little notch out of this rounded corner here. And so instead of cutting it kind of curved like in the pattern, I just kind of did like a little 90-degree notch. So mine is more, and then be careful that you don't go to, you want to keep about 1/4 inch, 1/8 to 1/4 inch from the curve there, from where your stabilizer is. So I kind of just cut mine like this, okay? And so I'm going to put some double-sided tape along this edge and then right up here. So I'm just using this 1/4 inch double-sided tape. Okay. So we're going to have it just like that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the backing off the double-sided tape. And this is Decoville Light. Have interface with Decoville Light. And I'm using this vinyl from Big Z Fabric, which I don't think they carry this particular one anymore. It was gifted by my friend, my sister friend, Chrissy, from House of Threads. But anyway, so we're gonna fold these raw edges in. I'm using the stabilizer, and then when I get to this corner, I'm just kind of matching it up like that. Okay, so I kind of have this little point here. Oops, I think I went too far with this end, so let me bring that down just a little bit. Okay, so you're going to have this little point up here like this. Okay, and I'm just squeezing that down, and then I'm going to trim that off. Carefully trim that off like that. Okay. All right, so now we have that, and then I just take my stiletto here, and I'm just kind of working that and kind of rounding that a little bit more on this point here, and just making it stick to the double-sided tape. Okay, just like that. So I'm just pushing that corner in and just rounding it off. So just bringing it in like that. Using the tip of my stiletto. And then so it should look now, it's rounded. And then I'll just take a piece, I just have a piece of Peltex I use just so I don't get any marks in my vinyl. And I'm just going to just keep that like that for just a little while and let that sit. So that holds the shape. I did these and they stayed overnight, so they're not, this part is not sticking, but the corners are fine. So anyway, so get those all prepped. So you, like I say, you have all 4 of those ready. So we're doing that. And then the next thing we're going to do is the little decorative piece. So we're going to grab that piece. Let me get it out. Get it. Okay, so this piece, so this is not a flap, it's just a little decorative piece here. So we also we're going to fold the raw edges in on this one as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. So on this part here, so we have interfaced with Decaville Light. So on this part where these little points are, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to snip right into there. Okay. You just snip that off. I don't want to get too close. So just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Alrighty. Okay. So once it looks like that, then we're going to apply our double-sided tape. Okay, so right here on the sides, we're not going to do the bottom, or I guess it's really the top, because it's this part, the straight edge goes at the top. Okay, and then I'm just going to put some tape right around the bottom here. Okay. And then right up here. Okay. So now once you have that taped, and then I'm going to put some little snips on the curve. You can put your snips before your tape, but I'm just going to do it now because as long as I'm not snipping through the whole piece, it will not affect it at all. So I'm just adding some little snips around these curves. Okay, just like that. Now I can remove the backing from the double-sided tape. I'll just go ahead and peel it all off. Okay. And then again, I'm going to fold these edges in. So starting with the straight edge, then meet up where I did this snip here. Okay. And then I'll do this side here. And meet feet up here. And then I'll just start to ease in around this curve here. Okay. Okay. And then again, I can snip off these little peaks there. And then anywhere else that I may need to, anything else that might be sticking up. Okay. Okay. And now we have it looking like that with no raw edges at the sides and around the bottom. Okay. So now once we have that, we're going to take this stitching guide, okay? And really I should have had it drawn on already, but I didn't. So try to have your lines drawn on before you fold in the raw edges. So we just cut out this part just like this so we could fold this back. And we're going to take your marking tool, whichever you use, as long as it's able to come off. And we're just going to trace this cutout. And this is where we're going to stitch when we add it. Okay. So just like that. So you should have, it should be marked out just like that. Okay. So, and that's a nice place to put your label too. So if you have a label, you can put it right there. Okay, so I'm probably going to do that. I just got to get my label. I didn't pull one out, but I probably would put a label right there. That's a really good place to put your label. So now we're going to take our main exterior pieces. So I'm going to grab those. Okay. So we have one for the front and one for the back, and they have been interfaced with Decorative light. Okay, and there's a line we have drawn across the top. Okay, get the measurements from the pattern. That's because we're going to be doing a drop in. So we have this line across the top. So we're going to take one of the pieces from the pattern piece. You're going to mark out where you're going to put add those wings. So those wings that we just prepared. So there's a cutout here on the side where we're going to place our wings. So we're going to put one mark on each side. Okay. And we'll do the same thing for the back. I'm just going to set the back aside for right now. Okay. And we're going to take two mirrored pieces of our wings here. Let that one. So we have our two pieces. Okay, so one's going to go on this side and one's going to go on this side here. Just like that. Okay, so you line it up at the mark. And we're going to clip that in place. And kind of check and make sure that your wings, when you fold them in, and that they're the same size and they match up. Because you want them to be the same once you attach them. So if you folded it in a little bit differently and it's a little bigger, you want to make sure that you kind of, make sure that they match up and they're the same size, or else it's going to look off. and kind of make sure that they're ending at the same, around the same spot. So you just want to do a couple of little checks, and just to make sure. Okay, so this one is just, here we go. Okay, yeah, so that looks good. Okay, so they look, so it will look like this. Okay, and so, and we would do the same thing for the back piece. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to stitch those. So we're going to stitch around and attach those on to our panel here. Okay, so we're going to top stitch all around. I'm going to start right over here on the raw edge. And I didn't mention it, but you can put some double-sided tape in the center here to hold it down and make sure it doesn't shift out of place. But I didn't, but you can for sure. Okay. So we're just going to go around, top stitching at 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Careful going around this little curve here. Okay. And so it'll look like that, and then we'll do the other side. Alrighty. And once you have that, that's what it will look like. Nice little design feature there. Okay, so now once you have that done, you're going to do your front and back, and then we would put this decorative piece on. Okay, and like I said, you can add your label. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this. So this is going to be my front. So this piece goes on the front. I've marked my centers here, and I did it here on this one as well. So it's just going to go right here, and then we're going to use that stitch line that we drew, and we're just going to stitch right there on that stitch line only. So I'm going to clip it in place here, and then we can add our label there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place that down, and so we're going to stitch. I'm sorry, I forgot to, how did I forget to draw the line across the top? I was like, what's missing? So sorry. So this line gets connected here. So sometimes I tend to jump ahead of myself. Okay. So it should look, I hope you guys can see with this chalk. Let me try to darken it up some here. You can see it, Jazz? Okay, good. So it should look like that. So we're going to sew. First, we're going to sew this stitch line, and then we're going to sew all around, okay? So let me go ahead and clip that in place again. Or you can sew the outside first and then the stitch line. It doesn't matter. So maybe I'll go ahead and do the outside first since my raw edges want to keep trying to poke out and I don't want them to pop out. So I'm gonna do the outer perimeter first and then I'll do the stitch line. Okay. So I'm gonna start up here. And take your time going around these curves. Okay. And now I'm going to sew those inner lines and make sure I'm going to leave long tails so that I can pull them to the back. Rub some of my marks off. Make sure I can see. That's the only drawback to using chalk sometimes, is you can rub your own lines off. Okay. I'm going to pull this thread and pull that tail to the back. Okay. Alright, now we can tie these threads off. Alrighty, so that's what it's going to look like. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add my label here. I'm going to add my wings to the back side, and then we'll be back. All right, so I just wanted to show you that I have attached my label, to this nice little decorative piece here, and I think that looks so good. Okay, and I went ahead and I attached the wings to the back part so we can set the front aside. Use your pattern piece to mark out where you're going to put your zipper window on the back piece. So I have marked out the rectangle where the zipper will go. So, and we have the overlay piece. Okay, so I have added double-sided tape on the back, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my overlay right where that window is. Just match it on up. Okay, so that should be about right, like that. Okay, I almost thought to use contrasting, like a black or something, but I decided to just go all monotone with this, the exterior on this bag. So if you want, you can make this a whole different contrasting vinyl. But anyway, so I have attached my overlay. You should have your 2 zipper pocket pieces, your zipper tape, and your zipper pull. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew around this perimeter of the zipper overlay. Now, she has instructions for sewing the overlay. It's not, the instructions are not in the pattern per se. There's separate instructions if you've never done a zipper pocket with overlay. And of course, I have a video with zipper pocket with overlay. So you can watch that video. I will have the link for you in case you need it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sew around the zipper overlay. And if you don't like those raw edges, you can edge paint them. But I didn't. I just decided to leave them. Okay, so just going around. I'm leaving long tails to pull to the back, as I want to do. Okay, and I'm just going around, top stitching 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Until I get right back where I started. Did I get it? Oh, that was perfect. Okay, very good. So now I'm going to tie these threads off. This is Monday. I've had 2 cups of coffee. Let you know how it's going. My girls got to go to dance tonight. And yeah. So busy time. Busy time. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut away the vinyl in the zipper window. So be very careful. I'm going to cut that out. So I'm just going to fold it like this and make a snip down the center. And then I'm going to cut away. Just get my scissors right up underneath that overlay carefully. And cut. And then I'm going to turn it to the back side. And I'm just going to carefully cut. So when you place your double-sided tape on your overlay, make sure you place it in a spot where it's not going to interfere with you cutting out this window here. So, and neatness does not count. It is not a factor here because nobody's going to see this part. Okay. So that's cutting. There we go. So once you have that, it's going to look like this. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew up our zipper pocket. So we're going to take our zipper tape, take one piece of our lining, and we're going to place our zipper tape right side up on top of our lining piece, which is also right side up. And we're just going to clip that in place, and we're going to sew that at 1/4 inch. Okay. And now I'm going to press that seam allowance down toward the lining, and I'm going to turn it over and top stitch through the lining. And by the way, this waterproof canvas is from Blended Thread Fabric. Okay, and we're going to do the same exact thing with the other lining piece, 1/4 inch. And we're going to top stitch. Okay, so now when we have this, the zipper tape is right side up, lining is wrong side up. We're going to take our double-sided tape and we're going to place a piece. Stay away from the ends though, because you don't want to have double-sided tape in your seam allowance when you sew up the sides. So I keep it off the sides, and I'm just putting some on the top and bottom, like so. Then I'm going to take my zipper pull, and I'm going to open up one end and attach my zipper pull. So just go in at an angle and then feed the other side in, and then match it up so they're even, and slide it on. Okay, so now once you have this like this, let's take our exterior and we're going to lay that over, and we're going to line it up with the ends of our overlay. Okay. Get it centered, get your zipper centered, and then we're going to remove the backing from the double-sided tape to secure it in place. Okay. Okay. And do the same thing over here. Okay, get that. Make sure your zipper pull is going in the direction that you want it to go in. I like to close to the left and open to the right, so that's the way mine is oriented. So if you want it the opposite way, then you would do it the opposite way. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good to me. So it should look like that. Your zipper pockets open in the back. So now we're going to top stitch around the zipper window. Again, leaving some long tails to pull to the back. Make sure your zipper pull is out of the way and inside the zipper window. Again, let's pull those tails. Okay. Okay, so I will tie these off, and then we're going to get ready to close up our lining, our zipper pocket lining. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this piece down. And so you'll notice that the piece underneath is a little bit longer. We're just going to trim that off evenly. So I'll just add a couple of clips on the side. And I'm just going to trim that off. And now we're just going to turn it back over to the right side. And we're going to pull back one side. And we're going to sew down the side, the bottom, and then up the other side to close our zipper pocket. Okay, be careful as you sew over that zipper. Okay. And if you have any little extra zipper tape sticking out, you can trim it down. Okay, and then just burn the edges of that zipper tape so it doesn't fray. There we go. And now we have our back zipper pocket done. Just like that. Looks good. Alrighty. Okay, so next we're going to add our strap connectors. So let me gather the hardware for that and we'll be right back. Alrighty. Okay, so I have added connectors to the front. I want you to see what it looks like. So I decided to use these connectors. I got them, I believe, from Indo Love Creation. And so I marked out the placement. So according to the pattern, you're going to mark 1 inch from this edge and a 1/2 inch from the top edge of this little decorative panel here. So I did that on the back side. So first you make a mark 1 inch in, and then another mark a 1/2 inch down. And so once you get that cross mark, then you're going to, so use your whatever you have for your hardware. So I use the metal washer to mark out the holes for my hardware, because it's all going to depend on what hardware you choose to use for your bag, where your holes are going to go, or if you have, you know, if you're whether you have holes for screws or prongs or whatever, you're going to have to use the whatever came with your hardware to mark that out. So it's all, the placement's going to be a little different for everybody. But what doesn't change is 1 inch in and a 1/2 inch down on this little decorative wing piece. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and I'll go ahead and finish installing the hardware. I'm back, and I have all 4 connectors installed on my front and back exterior. So and I really like the way that's looking. I like these connectors. So we're going to set these aside, and for the next step, you're going to need your side panels. Okay, and that's these. So you should have 2 cut from your side panels, and it should be interfaced with Decaville Light or the interfacing of your choice. And again, we have the lines marked at the top for our drop-in. So that you need that, and you also need your strap holders. That's what they're called in the pattern, your strap holders or strap connectors. And I have marked the centers on the back. I have placed a piece of Decaville Light in the area that's designated from the pattern. And I have added a strip of double-sided tape down the center as well. So, oh, and then also you need your D-rings or O-rings or whatever you choose. I'm using 1 inch D-rings. And so, anyway, sorry, I was losing my train of thought. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make some marks on the front. So on the end that have the Decaville, I'm going to mark out 3 inches from the top. So we're going to do 3 inch. Let's see chalk here. So we're going to do 3 inches. And then from there, we're going to do a 1/2 inch. Okay. So like that. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. So make a 3 inch mark. And then 1/2 inch down from there. Okay. So what we're doing now is we're going to remove the double-sided tape. For the backing from the double-sided tape. And we're going to fold the raw edges into the center, to that center line. Okay, on both sides. Okay. Let's make sure I can see my marks still. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Miss Jazzy, can you please, was your phone playing? Mm-hmm. Yes, it was. Was it? Mm-hmm. You know, Jazzy, she was playing music for y'all. I'm like, what are you doing, Miss Jazzy? Did you forget we were recording? No. I'm gonna have to put her on punishment, y'all. Oh no. Y'all tell me what punishment Jazzy deserves. She should be a pro at this by now, and she's Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so we have our marks there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch from the top down to that first line, across and up. So 1/8 of an inch on both of these. And then down here at the bottom, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch all around, but 3/8 of an inch in from each side. So we're not 1/8. The bottom will top stitch at 3/8. Okay, so let's get started here. The first one. So I'm going to pivot once I get to that first line. And then I'm going to turn and then sew across. And then come back up. So that 1/2 inch in the center of these two lines will not be stitched. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and start at the bottom, 3/8 of an inch in from the side. And when I get to this line, I will stop, pivot, and one stitch over for me, because my stitch lift is at a 5. One stitch lift over for me puts me right where I need to be. Okay, and now I'm going to come down 3/8 of an inch. I'm sewing from the side, and there we go. So it's going to look like that. So you'll have this stitched here and then this little line here, this strip of stitching here. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do this one. And now this. Oops, I almost forgot. 3/8. Glad I caught myself. I'm gonna make that boo-boo. And back down. Okay. So now we have this. So now what we're going to do is we're going on the back side, we're going to put a strip of double-sided tape right down where the stitching is. So I'm just going to add a piece. You can use a 1/4 inch. I'm using the 1/2 inch, but 1/4 inch is fine as well. And so make sure you put it on the back side. Okay. And now we're going to grab our D-rings and we're going to slide them on. And we're going to fold it over. And the fold should go about a 1/4 inch past the stitching. Okay? So about a 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to peel a little bit of that tape, the backing up, so I can stick it down. Okay. Like that. And so I'm just sliding my ring on, folding it about a 1/4 inch past the stitching. Okay. And just peeling that back a little bit. Okay. Just make sure it's even. Let's make sure. Okay, that looks good. It looks even. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I have my centers marked on my side panels. And what I like to do is, so I like to just mark. So I'm going to mark a line in the center. Okay, so that's my center there. Going to mark a line here. And then I'm going to go, since this is 1 inch connector, I'm just going to go 1/2 inch over from that line. Like that. And then I know I can line it up with that 1/2 inch. And I should be centered. So I'm right here at the bottom. Starting at the bottom, and I'm just going to go ahead and then line that up. Make sure this end is not sticking out. I'm going to adjust this just a little because it was sticking out just a little smidge. Okay, make sure that's all lined up like that. So that should give me a nice straight connector there. Okay. Having it lined up like that. Okay, and I'll do the same thing with this one. So I'm just making my center line, making sure it's straight with the bottom, and then 1/2 inch over. If I can see it. Sorry. There we go. And then 1/2 inch right there. And take the second one. And we're going to line that up. And I need to make sure this is not sticking over. There. Alrighty. So there we go. So shouldn't see that much of a line there. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to stitch from the bottom up 1/8 of an inch from the sides, come up, go meet up with the stitching right here. We're going to go right across and then down the other side. And just double check my little thing. Okay. I'm just going to use my where did it go? My stiletto. What did I do with it? Oh, in my. If it had been a snake, it would have bit me. Maybe I shouldn't have had the 2 cups of coffee today.
did tell me no.
Maybe I just go back to the one.
Have you even been drinking tea lately?
No, I usually been drinking one. But maybe I need to go back to the one. Cause this ain't I thought it was gonna give me superpowers. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go across there. All right. So that's what we got there. Once we have that all connected. So now we're going to place a rivet right here in that one, centered in that 1/2 inch space. And then we're going to place another one. I'm just going to go from that first line there. I'm going to go about 1/4 inch up and centered from the first line of stitching there. So from this stitching, I'm going to go about 1/4 inch up, and then I'm going to center right here in the middle in that 1/2 inch space. And we're going to add rivets there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sew up the other connector onto the other side panel and add my rivets, and then we will come back and continue. So what I did was I went ahead and I put the other strap connector, strap holder on. So I have both my side panels ready. So now next you're going to need your base. So I've already marked out the placement for my purse feet. So there's 5 of them. And then I've also drawn these diagonal lines here where we're going to do some stitching here. So we're going to start at the point where we're putting the purse feet and go across to the other. So right through the middle and then the other. So we're going to put 2 stitch lines. Okay. And I'm going to leave long tails. Pull it to the back.
Hold on.
Well, maybe the purse feet will cover it. So I could probably do a small little back stitch. Okay. Yep. So, and then we'll do the other. This is just a nice little detail on the bottom here. Okay. Okay, so now we'll have this little X on the bottom, and then we can go ahead and place our purse feet. So I'm just putting it right in here, pull the prongs open, and then I'm going to put some tape on the back. Okay, so just make sure. Okay. And so the bottom is all prepped. So before, I'm going to go ahead and put some tape. And then there's these marks. I have these marks on the back of my base. So these are the marks that you're going to use when you're attaching it to the exterior. So I have it marked on the wrong side. I'm just going to also just put some little small little 1/8 inch snips. So these are going to be, this is going to help us in attaching our base. Okay, these little marks. So we have the center marks, and then we have a couple of extra marks there that we need to do. So I'm just going to do that. Put the tape there, and then we're going to get ready to sew our exterior together. Woo woo! Love that. And we're making progress here. So let me just get this tape on. I still don't know what happened to my duct tape. Something my boys took it, taping something, taping whatever boys tape together. So, something they broke. Okay, so we'll set the base aside. I'll grab one of my main panels and one of my side panels. Whoops. Okay. And we're going to put those together. So right sides together. And we're going to sew at 3/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. I hope my strap connector is not in the way. I didn't think about that. Let me just make sure I got enough to clear that. I got enough room to clear that. Okay. Let's get a little. So we're gonna sew the side side panel to the main exterior. 3/4 inch seam allowance. I do have a little hump here from my connector, so I gotta go over that carefully. Okay, kind of went home. I might have to do that part with my narrow foot. I'll just go back over that because my connector is kind of getting in the way. But that's okay. So where it veered off right here is because my connector, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch to my narrow foot, and then I won't have any problems sewing the others. So let me switch that real quick. I try not to switch it if I don't have to, but yeah. Somebody was telling me, left a comment on one of my videos that they never switch up. They keep their narrow foot on all the time. And I was, so, I don't like using it all the time. I guess I feel like I lack control. So I don't keep it on all the time. But it's good to have when you need it. Because there are times when you need it. So, this is just like my piping foot. I have to switch out when I need it. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead. Did I not tighten it enough? I guess I didn't. Nope, I did not. Because I'm using my left hand. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll just go over this part here that I need to go. And I'm actually going to do it from this side here. And just get it right over that. There we go. And that solves that problem. Okay, so no issues there. They can't be fixed. Okay, so now we're going to open that up and we're going to top stitch. Does she top stitch to the front or to the back? Let me just make sure. I believe we're so to the side panel. So we're top stitching onto the side panel. And one thing she suggests is that we snip. So I'm going to do about 1/2 inch here. Don't snip your seam. So we can open up the seam allowance here. And that helps to reduce the bulk. And we'll do that at the top and we'll do that at the bottom as well. Okay, so that we're able to press that seam open just right there at the bottom and at the top. And it helps to reduce the bulk when we go to put everything together. So we're going to go ahead. I'm not going to top stitch this over to the side. That's going to stay open. So, and I'm going to top stitch. Okay. And when I get to the bottom, I'll make sure the seam is open at the bottom. Okay. So we have that. And it's looking like this. And then now we're going to go ahead. We're going to put the other side panel on to the other side of the main exterior. And we're going to sew that on the same way. 3/4 of an inch. You hear all that ticking. That's the dog. The dog keeps running back and forth. Because my son's outside helping with the yard. The dog wants to be out there too. Okay, so 3/8. Oh, poor puppy. Uh-oh, see? This is why I don't like sewing with my narrow foot for some reason. I always veer off a little bit. I feel like I just don't have the same control. I have to hold it. It's probably just because I'm not used to sewing with it. I should have turned it the other way. So keep that in mind with your strap connector. Whatever strap connectors you choose, think about if they're going to be in the way or not when you go to sew. Okay, so now, again, I'm going to open up the seam here at the top and at the bottom. And then we're going to top stitch onto the side panel. So open up the seam at the bottom, push the rest over to the side panel. Okay, open it up here. There we go. Okay, so that's one half done there. Now we'll add the back. We'll add the back the same way. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll add the back. So you have to see me do the same thing over and over again. I'll go ahead and add the back, finish the top stitching, and then we'll come back to put the base on. So as you can see, I have all the panels sewn together. So now we're going to take our base. This is a big bag, you guys. So this is the front center. So we have the front center mark here. So I'm going to place that with one of the, remember the marks we made around the base? So this is one of the centers. So I'm going to clip that right at the center. Okay, and I'll add a couple more on the sides here. Okay, then I'm going to go around to the other side, to the back, and we'll clip that center. Cause I'm all about that bass,
What?
Oh, that song. That's not a good song. Oh, sorry. My kids love it. Okay, so now we have the center on the side. We're going to match that up with the center where the strap connector is. So we have that center mark there. And we're going to put a clip there. And I'll add some on the side here. Okay, so we're just doing these centers first. And I'll flip it around this way. And then match it up with this one. This center there. Ooh, this is a big, this bag is big. Okay. Love me some big bags though. Okay, so now these other marks that we have on the base. So we have these marks here on the sides. Those get matched up with these seams. Okay, so they should all match up. And it does. And that's a good thing here. So we'll just, so we have all these reference marks to make sure that we're putting our base on correctly. So, and then opening up the seam over here and matching it to that. So it's looking like it's gonna fit just fine. Okay. There. Okay. And I'll flip it over and match up these seams And the final one here. Now all we have left are the curves. So what we're going to do is add some little snips here on the curves. Not on the base, but on the body of the bag. So just like some little, small little snips. About a 1/4 inch apart. Okay. So we'll do that. That just helps it ease in around those corners, around those little curves. Okay. Here. Okay, so now once you have those curves clipped, then now they should just go right together, just like that. Oops. And then we can just clip it. It helps it lay nice and flat around the curve. Okay. Lots of clips. Lots and lots of clips. This big bag. I didn't realize it was this big. I love big bags though. Okay. So once you have it all clipped on, now we're going to get ready to sew it. The seam allowance is 3/8. Yep. Okay, so let's get ready. So we're gonna sew it at 3/8, and we're gonna stand the bag up like this and start. I'm gonna start right here on the straight edge. Get a couple of clips out the way and get it all lined up at the 3/8 inch mark, and we'll give it a go. And I have my trusty stiletto here, and we'll go ahead. And you notice how I just push that bag down, like to keep it out of the way. But when I get ready to go around these curves, I do like to stand it up. Are they able to see Jazzy well? Am I getting it in the frame? Because I just want to make sure. Okay. So I'm just keeping it standing up sort of as I go around the curves. And those snips help keep the curves nice and flat. Okay. So as we go around, making sure everything stays. And again, once I get to the curve, I just kind of like to keep it standing up. So I don't get any puckers. And it's okay if it gets a little off right there. That happens sometime as you go around the curves. But it's going to still look fine. So I'm going to reach in and I'm going to push that back in place, just like that. Almost back where we started. I veered off a little bit there. Okay, so here we're back where we started here. There we go. Everything fit nicely, so that wasn't really too much of a problem. Okay, so now we got the base on. Woo! So let's see, does she ask you to trim it down any? Yeah, so she suggests trimming down the seam allowance. So I'm just going to trim it down a little bit, not too much, to about half. I'm just going to trim. I'm not around yet. Okay, there we go. Okay, collect all my little scraps here. I got most of that in the trash this time. Okay, so now we can turn her out and see what it's gonna look like. Ooh-wee. From the bottom. You guys know what I'm getting ready to do, right? I'm getting ready to see what it's looking like. You know, that's one of my favorite parts. puckers. That's a good thing. I might glue, since this is such a big bag, I might glue some Peltex to the bottom before I drop in the lining, because it's such a big bag that I use Decaville Heavy for the stabilizer, but I think it needs something a little sturdier than that. So I think I'm going to put some Peltex in the bottom, because the bigger the bag, the more you're inclined to load it up. So you want a little sturdier bottom. At least that's what I would want, a sturdy bottom. But oh, I think that's a nice big bag, huh? See how nice and big and roomy that is. Woo. But you see what I mean by the bottom? I think it needs some more. So I'm gonna pad that up a little more. Okay, so anyway, that's enough of that. So let me get the next pieces ready so we can go on to the next step. And I'll be back. I'm loving how it's looking. Okay, so I'm back with the next step. So you should have your two exterior recess zipper pieces and two lining pieces. Okay, and then you need your zipper tape and a zipper pull. So I've already prepped my zipper. I have my ends turned at 90 degrees. So what I did was I just take the ends. So I open up one end. I'll just open up this end. And we're going to fold the zipper back on the wrong side like this. So I do about, I guess, about an inch, right? So, and pinch it right there at that crease. And then we're going to bring that crease up right underneath the teeth of the zipper. Okay. And it will look like that, if you can see clearly. So pinch it, and then bring it up, bring the zipper teeth up to meet that little crease there. And then we just sew down the sides to hold it in place. So hopefully that was clear. But anyway, so we're going to do this. Now, the way she does her recess zipper is pretty different than any way I've done it. I've never done it this way. So we're going to do it together. So she takes one exterior. And by the way, I have Decaville Light interface down in the center of my exterior pieces. So we're going to put right sides together at one short end, and we're going to sew that at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So this is totally different. I've never done one this way, so I hope it comes out okay. Okay, so we're going to do that. Okay. And then we'll do the other. It seems like a pretty cool method, so let's try it. Okay, now we're going to open that up. And what we're going to do is we're going to mark out. Now, we're going to fold these raw edges in on the ends of each side at 3/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark double that, which is 3/4. Okay, so I'm just marking that. So I know where, I know to fold to that line, and that will be 3/8. Okay, so we're just doubling the seam allowance. So we know where to end our folding there. Okay, so we have, just make sure that's even. Okay, and that's going to be 3/8. And then I'm going to place some double-sided tape on each end. Okay. Mm. And this end. Okay. Now we're going to fold these ends to meet the line that we drew. A little edge there. Okay, and so now that should look like that. And then we'll do this one as well. Okay, here we go. And now we're going to take our zipper. We're going to take our zipper tape. You can add your pull if you like, or you could leave it off and do it later. I'm just going to see because I think it was on in. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take 1/2 and we're going to right here at the seam. So we're going to place our zipper right there. So the teeth should be right at the seam. So this is on the exterior. So right side down on the exterior portion. And do that. Okay. And then we're going to fold this back, fold the lining back, and we'll clip it all in place. So the zipper is in between. Okay. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, let me move this one out of the way. We're going to make a mark 3/8 of an inch away from that seam. So it will look like this. So we're going to start sewing here at the line. So we're going to have a gap here that's not going to be sewn. We're going to sew and we're going to sew down. So you can use a 1/4 inch or 3/4 of an inch seam to sew. I'm going to do a 1/4. So that's what I like to do. So, but it's important to start and stop at that line that we drew. Okay. Once I get it there. Okay, keep my zipper lined up. Don't go off the edge here because those stitches will show. So just keep it right at the edge, right before you get to the end. Okay. Alrighty. So now what she has you do is you're going to trim off. So you're going to trim off this little corner here. Trim that. And then right here at the gap, we're going to just cut a little notch right there. Okay. So the zipper teeth is there a little bit. So we're just cutting a little notch there. Okay. Cut that. And then we're going to turn it out. It's not looking too bad. Oh, wait a minute. Why though? But why do I have a hole right there though? Okay, I stopped for a minute because when I sewed left the gap there, when I turned it out, the zipper teeth were not attached, and so they were poking through. So what I did was I went back in and I did sew up that gap. So what I looked at the picture in the pattern, and what it is that it looks like she's using a zipper tape or a zipper that's already finished, a finished zipper, not zipper tape. And her teeth are not all the way up like mine were. They weren't all the way up at the seam. Hers were back a ways from the seam. So I think if you're going to do it that way and leave the gap, then you have to bring it down to that 3/8 inch mark. But I didn't. It's there at the seam. So I did go ahead and sew it all the way until I got to this seam. And so, and it works fine that way. And I did trim down the top a little more. And I think I could trim this corner down just a little bit more too. Okay, and then I would turn it out. So I do apologize that I, didn't see that before. But hey, we just make adjustments and we move on. Okay, so we would fold these wrong sides together and clip them together. And then we would, we're gonna end up top stitching all around. But first I'm just gonna get it clipped. And, I do like to just show you sometimes when, when I make these little mistakes. Well, that one was just a misjudgment, I would call it. And, and then how you adapt. Okay, so this side looks like this. So now we have this one hanging over here. And this time, since we're facing this way, we can go ahead and now we're going to place the wrong side of the zipper tape onto the lining. And we're going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to do it better. Now that I know. So, I'm making this bag for the first time with you all. So we are going to do it together. And sometimes I'm guilty of not reading everything the way I'm thinking I do. I try to read ahead and, read the pattern, but sometimes you miss things, Okay, so I'm just sandwiching the zipper tape in between, making sure everything is lined up. Okay. All right. So now this time I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start at the seam and then start at that seam there, and I'm going to sew all the way down. I still do think this is an interesting method. Okay. And if you think you'll have a hard time keeping everything together, and if you think your zipper might slip some, then you can always add some double-sided tape to hold it down too. Okay. So now we have that side done. And we can go ahead. We're going to trim. So we're trimming down this corner here. So getting rid of this little bulk here. And then I'm going to also trim some off the top. Okay. And then we're going to turn it out. Okay. And I'll push that corner out gently like that. And hopefully it'll all line up. That is the goal, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put wrong sides together here. Clip it down. And I'm going to check it before I get ready to top stitch. Make sure that my panels line up. And if they don't, then I'm going to cry. I will adjust it the best I can. Okay. So now we have it like this. Let's zip it up and make sure. Let's make sure everything looks good. Well, I have to say I kind of like that method because look at how it all lined up nice. Very good. Okay. So now we're just going to top stitch both of these panels. I kind of think I like this method here. Okay. And top stitch around the top. You can unzip it if you want. Okay. There we go. And we'll do this next one. And our recessed zipper panels will be done. that is done. And that looks pretty darn accurate, don't it? That looks really good. So we'll end up putting a zipper end on there. We go ahead, we're going to mark the centers. And then I'm going to grab the lining and we're going to get ready to start putting the recessed zipper and everything together. So I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I wanted to show you that I've already done the zipper pocket and the slip pocket on my lining. Okay, because I have, like I've said this before in other videos, I've done that so many times. And we already did the zipper pocket on the exterior, which is the same exact method of doing it for the lining. And then we have the slip pocket. It's a divided slip pocket with trim. And so I've done the slip pocket on other videos as well. So I'm just going to, I wanted to just have that done. And the next steps are, I'm going to go over. So we just done our recessed zipper panels. So now we're going to get ready to attach it to our lining pieces. So we can go ahead. I'd like to save my zipper in for last. Because I want to be able to pull this apart. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to have the two different halves of my zipper, my recessed zipper. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this side to the side with my zipper pocket. So that way I make sure that my zipper are going in the same direction. So the tail of the zipper end should be going to the right. So I have the centers marked and I'm going to match up the centers. And we're going to base that in place. Okay. So we're going to do that. And then we'll take the other half and we're going to base that one in place. And it should be, the tail should be going in the opposite direction. Go ahead and get those basted on. And we're getting so close to the finish line. Okay, so now we can go ahead and we're going to grab our top lining pieces. So these pieces here, and you see they have a curved top. It's interfaced with Decaville Light, and we have marked out our drop line on both pieces. So I have the centers marked as well. So the straight side, we're going to put that face down, or right sides down on our lining pieces. And we're going to sew it on at 3/8 of an inch. So let's take the first one and it should match up. Get the clip done. Three-eighths. And then we're going to top stitch. We're going to fold the seam allowance down. So we're pulling up this recessed zipper with it, and we're pushing the seam allowance down. So the seam allowance is going down toward the lining, and we're going to top stitch through the lining, through the main lining here. So it will look like this here. Alrighty, and we'll go ahead. I'm going to do the other half, and then all that stuff we're going to go ahead and we're going to sew the sides up, put the bottom on, and then we'll get ready to do our drop-in lining. Now we're ready to sew up the sides of our lining. So I'm going to match up the sides here, make sure that the seams are matched up, lined up well. We're going to sew at 3/8. Everything lined up here. Good. Okay. Go ahead and sew the sides down. I just want to double check and make sure we don't have to increase the seam allowance on the sides. I don't think we do. Nope. Just a straight 3/8. And then we'll sew up the other side the same way. These. Okay. All right, now that we have the sides sewn up, we are ready to attach the bottom. And the bottom is going to get sewn on at 3/8 of an inch as well. So I have the center marks this here and midpoints on the sides as well. And then I've done that also, so the midpoints on my lining, and then we'll use the seams on the sides. So we're going to go ahead and get this clipped up. And get it sewn together. So we'll start on these sides, the long sides. Here. And we'll do the sides. Open up the seam allowance here. Match it up to the center. Okay, and just like we did on the exterior, we are going to clip into the lining. We're going to add some snips so that we can ease it around these curves. Do not go past your seam allowance. So we're just adding some snips here. Over here. Now we should be able to ease around the curves here. Okay. We'll just get it all clipped up. you know, every now and then, Jazzy, I just like to throw a clip at you. Make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you're awake over there.
I'm very much awake.
Alrighty, so now it's all clipped up. Now we can get it sewn. Like I said, 3/8 of an inch. And we're gonna sew it from this side here. Okay, so here we go. Just reaching inside to keep it straight, no puckers, and keeping my seam allowance flat as I go around these curves. So just go a few stitches at a time around the curves. You notice when I get to the curves, I get my hand in there, and I want it to stand up a little more upright so that the seam stays flat as I go around the curve. Alrighty, we made it around, and now we're just about ready to do our drop in and get it all attached. So let me put all the clips back. Before they end up on the floor. Then Jasmine will be mad at me. We don't want that. Okay, so let me see. So we can go ahead. Uh-oh, I left one. One's trying to get away. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna trim this seam allowance down like we did on the exterior. So you can or you don't have to. I'm trying to decide if I even want to. I don't like to trim my lining down too much, so I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so that looks good in the inside there. So now I'm going to grab my 1/2" double-sided tape, and remember we have our drop line drawn. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start adding up my double-sided tape right here across the top, or you can add it just above the line, whichever you prefer. Okay, just make sure those side seams are open. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to do the same thing to the exterior and get it all taped up. And then we'll come back after I'm finished taping and we'll get it all dropped in and top stitched. Alrighty, so what I did was I put the tape on the exterior and the lining, and I folded down the raw edges to meet the line that we already had drawn. So we're all set for our drop in. So I just need to make sure it's situated the right way. So I want the zipper to go to the back. So I'm going to just put the lining inside. And by the way, I did add Peltex to the bottom of my bag. So I have a layer of Decorative Heavy and a layer of Peltex now in the bottom. Okay, and now I'm just going to start matching up. I'll start over here on the side, matching the centers, and I'll just start clipping. I have these little clamps here on these seams, these heavier seams, the thicker seams, to just kind of press them down a little bit. Okay, and then I'll get this center matched up over here. And we'll just start getting, and then I'll match up the centers here. Trying to get away from me. Okay, and then back here. Make sure you keep your recessed zipper out of the way. Okay, so there are my centers there. Okay, now I'll just start feeding in the rest, and it should all match up nicely. This is one big bag. I love big bags. I do, because I'm one, I carry a lot of stuff. I mean, my kids aren't little anymore, but when we go out as a family, I still manage to just have somebody's stuff in my bag.
It's probably me.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to say any names, Jasmine, but you know, good that you confessing.
Sometimes I don't like carrying the bag, so I just put my stuff in yours.
See how the truth comes out. The truth will always come out. Okay. So we're getting around and everything is lining up so nicely. And we will get ready to tackle this top stitching. Okay, so look at that. Oh my gosh, this looking so nice. Ooh. Oh, can y'all see the inside there? Look at that. Look at how pretty that looks inside. That looks so nice. And it's just the shape. This is, woo. Okay, I can stop now. All right, before I do get started, I do want to check my bobbin. And I think I used, yeah. So let me stop here for a second. I need to wind a couple of bobbins because I didn't wind enough to start with. Shame on me. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back and do the top stitching. Top stitching. Alrighty, I have fresh bobbins. And now I'm ready to get this top stitched. So I'm top stitching from the inside. And hopefully my bobbin won't let me down. So we're going to go get it in there. I'm going to leave those tails to pull through later. So let me get ready. Okay. Here goes nothing. I'm only thinking about those thicker spots that hopefully my machine won't give me any problems. So I just like to use these pliers to kind of smash it down, flatten it as much as I can before I sew over it. Okay. And that usually helps. And then also grabbing my little piece of little strap here that I use as a hump jumper. Sorry. Go over it. I'm getting to another thicker seam, so I'm going to squeeze it with my pliers. Really get it. So far, so good. Tighten it a little bit. Just taking my time, making my way around. Squeezing those seams. Okay, getting close. Almost to the finish line here. Okay, so I'm gonna get ready to start pulling this thread through here, so I can get ready to tie those off, because I'm almost where I started. Okay, there we go. We made it, and I hope it looks okay. This is the moment of truth is coming, where I see if I have any terrible looking stitches. Okay, so I'm looking around. Well, nothing looks too crazy. Nothing that can't be rectified. So I think I'm good. I'm just pulling these little stitches that kind of got a little loose back over here on those thick parts that I was talking about. So you just kind of pull the little thread a little and just even it out, and it will miraculously, the little tiny loop will go away. Okay, and one over here. It's just a little bit over here. So this is what I do sometime here, if my attention just wasn't just right. And just a little bit here. This part where this decorative piece is on the front, I knew it was just it's very thick. My vinyl's a little thick, so I just had a feeling I was gonna get like one or two little loops there. Okay, so that's it. All right, not too bad. That was pretty much all I saw there. So let me get ready to just tie these off. Tie my threads off. Just making sure. Okay, so I think that's good. So let me just get ready to tie these threads off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll take my needle like I've done before and thread it through this thread here. Thread all the tails through. And then I'm going to I go right up here through that center hole, and then I get it right up through the seam. push it up through the seam. Okay, just like that. And then I'm just going to tie it off and add a little glue. So there we go. And I'll just add a little glue there. Okay, and that is, the bag is done. All that's left is I need to sew up my handles and the strap. I'm gonna put my zipper pull on and my my zipper end, and then we are going to be ready to show her off. So let me put my zipper pull on. Start there. Go on, zipper pull. Don't mess with me today. I've had it with you. Okay, so there we go. What a nice big bag. Wow, I love it. I love that. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna get ready to sew up these handles and get them on. So I have my 2 handle pieces here, cut at 4 inches. I'm doing 1 inch handles for this hardware. You can do 1 inch or 3/4 inch depending on your hardware. So I'm gonna go ahead, mark my centers here, get my double-sided tape on, and get my handles sewn up. I'm not going to show that. Handles can be a little, so I'm just going to go ahead, get them sewn up, and I'll be back to put everything together, and we'll see the final results. Be back. Alrighty, everybody, I got the handles put on. I have my crossbody strap on. The Isabella by Petal Patterns is now done. I'm so happy with it. It is so big. I can just stick all the stuff in there. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And bonus to the pattern, you get this cute little feather pattern, and it's just so cute. You can put these little feathers on there. So I just love it. I just stuck them right here on the side on my strap. You could do them in contrasting colors like I did, or the same. You can add some contrasted stitching, and it's just so cute. They're so cute. So a little different than just your regular tassel. So I'm very pleased with this. Look at this. Look at the bottom. Look at the bottom of the bag. I got my zipper end on. We have this spacious, roomy interior. Yeah, this bag is so luscious. It's just wonderful. So anyway, thank you for spending some time with me, making this bag with me. I will have the pattern link in the description as usual, as well as any of the materials that I used. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please click the bell for notifications, because I have been getting a little more frequent with my videos and I don't want you to miss out. So thank you for being here with me at Soulful Creations, and y'all have a good one. Thank you.